going to talk about creating a new document in Adobe Illustrator. So we open the Adobe Illustrator application and we see this home screen here. And they give you a few quick options to select from to create a new document. I don't particularly like any of these. So you can click on more presets. And then these are some of the more recent documents that you've created. Um, and uh, and there are a few that are kind of pre-saved in the default. One is the web large. It's 1080 pixels tall and 1920 pixels wide. So you'll see that, or you might find that they have different units of measurement. So some of these are measured in pixels, some of these measured in inches, centimeters, and so forth. Some in points, and these are all different just units of measurement. Um, Typically, if I'm printing things out, I would like to work in inches, or you can work in centimeters. So that gives you a real dimension that you can easily think about what the actual size is. So you can say, okay, well, this is 2 inches wide or 30 centimeters wide. And so you can just give an idea of how big of an artwork you're actually creating. Whereas if you are planning on printing something out and you're working in pixels, it may not be clear exactly how big of an image you're drawing. You may actually draw something that you think is really large, but when you print it out, it turns out to be a little bitty part of the piece of paper. So I always work in inches whenever I'm printing something out, especially for like posters or on paper. And then if I'm working with an image that is going to be on a PowerPoint slide or on a web page, I work in pixels. So if I was creating an image for PowerPoint, I'm going to click on this one right here, which is the typical, the web large, which is the typical size of a high definition computer screen or a PowerPoint slide. Otherwise, I'm gonna I'm gonna go to the letter option, which I have here, which is 8.5 by 11 inches wide. And to create a new document that is more specific to what you would like, you can go over here and there are several options that you can select from. You can click here and that gives you different dimensions that you can work with. Typically, I either work in pixels or inches. Centimeters also make sense to work in as well. And then you change your width, your height. You can also change the number of artboards. So if you're creating, if you're on the letter size, 8.5 by 11 inches, you might want a 6-page. You might want to do all your figures and keep them all in one Adobe Illustrator file. And then so you can do 6 pages and then do a figure on each page. That makes a lot of sense. So it might be an easier way of making sure all the color schemes are correct between all the different figures because you can see them all at once. So that makes sense. I typically only use RGB color. I know that's not completely correct. Typically, if you were printing something out, you want to use CMYK color. And if you're visualizing something or you're creating a figure for something to be viewed on a computer, you would want to use RGB color because that's how the pixels are generated on a computer screen. But I always just work with RGB. Even if I'm printing something out, I've rarely had an issue. You might have an issue where, the orange color or the yellow or green color may not come out quite that particular hue whenever you're printing it out. But I've never really had an issue. You might want to change the raster to a high, 300 points per inch, and then you just click create and it'll create a new document. Or you can select here and create, and then you have the new document here. And it's currently not saved. It says untitled. So anything you do right now won't be saved until you of course, say file, save, and then you'll save it as an Adobe Illustrator file that you can edit in the future. So that's how you create a new document in Adobe Illustrator.